This is Jake Ciely, and I'm the blown ACL that ruins your football season.
Good news, everyone! Let's get dangerous!
This is so cool!
I know!
It feels so right!
It's Jake Ciely.
I'm sorry, who is this?
Nice try, Moonman! Pretending not to know Earth's greatest mastermind!
You just made the list!
I thought you said that was a myth.
Just because it's a myth doesn't mean it's not true.
If you all blindly follow my plan, we may have a chance!
Sure, we talk about it all the time.
Really?
No, burn.
Game on, you Ducks. Let's get right to it because there's a lot to get through, including a lot of injuries in Week 11, unfortunately. First up, the Jaylen Warren injury. Obviously, if he misses time for the Steelers, you need to go after Kenneth Gainwell. But we have to see how this plays out, of course. But on top of that, Caleb Johnson for super deep leagues, 14-team plus, did get a decent chunk of the share where it looks like it could be Gainwell, obviously in the lead, but Gainwell and Caleb Johnson sharing some of the work. So again, super deep league, but Caleb Johnson might finally be on Raiders. Again, that's only as long as Jaylen Warren is out. Speaking of as long as things are out, Josh Jacobs, if he misses time, Emmanuel Wilson is the first one to step up. It would probably be in the RB2 conversation. Chris Brooks would probably get some work, but Wilson is the clear lead at this point of the season. And then we're real quick on the wide receiver standpoint. Christian Watson, just smirk emoji. Try to tell you, pick him up for weeks, pick him up for weeks, pick him up for weeks. I don't know what else to say. Pick up Christian Watson. He's still only a wide receiver 4. There's going to be bad games, but Christian Watson should have been rostered, should be rostered, should be in the starting lineup rosters going forward. Drake London was hurt, so monitor that going forward. Darnell Mooney apparently broke his collarbone in the preseason. Maybe at this point he's 100% and would be a desperation play. I would still only have him as a wide receiver 4 with no Drake London. Don't really trust that offense or Mooney. Maybe this gets Kyle Pitts back into the tight end 1 conversation if, again, Drake London is out. Xavier Legette for the Panthers. If he's out, Jalen Coker becomes interesting, not coming off so much the fact that it was Bryce Young's best game, but just if there is one fewer option, you can't really trust Legette or Coker if both of them are out there. So if no Legette, Coker will probably jump into the wide receiver 5 conversation. Bashal Tutin was having his best game and got hurt for the Jaguars. If he's okay and good to go, we can consider him a potential flex play as he was eating in a lot to the ETN shares. Could be Travis Etienne and Tutin sharing the workload going forward, similar to another backfield we'll talk about here in a little bit. Calvin Ridley hurt and out for the rest of the season. Chimere DK also hurt for the Titans, but it is the Titans offense. The backfield doesn't do much sharing. The wide receivers don't do much because it's the Titans offense. DK was intriguing as a volume-based option. Ayu Manor and other options are up next, but I wouldn't chase too much. It's still the Titans. And then Amari DeMercado was hurt for the Cardinals. He has more upside than Bam Knight. If there still is no Trey Benson, we are still waiting for him to come back, and hopefully he comes back and puts all this discussion out the window. But if DeMercado is out, Bam Knight, probably an RB3 desperation play. Michael Carter would be a super desperation play, hoping for some receiving volume. But let's talk about the running backs from Week 11. Sean Tucker obviously raised a lot of eyebrows, had him as potentially pushing Rachaad White, and he did, and then some more. So if Bucky Irving is still not back for another week, look for Sean Tucker to enter the RB2 ranks this week, potentially top end of the RB2 ranks. And if we do get Irving back, don't be surprised if Sean Tucker eats in 30 to 40% of the workload, at least until Irving's back up to speed, if not just for the rest of the season. Speaking of the lead and having an opportunity with an injury, Sean Payton does. RJ Harvey is probably just an RB3. He still has weekly RB1 upside, but sharing with Jaleel McLaughlin, who got most of the touches inside the goal line area. So that's going to be frustrating going forward because that's what Sean Payton does. The Ravens backfield behind Derrick Henry, Keaton Mitchell looked like he might be the clear option if anything were to happen to Derrick Henry with no Justice Hill. Justice Hill and Mitchell would timeshare if there's something happened to Henry, but even in this game, Mitchell did timeshare yet again, this time with Rasheen Ali. So yes, Mitchell would be next up, but don't expect bell cow workload at all if something were to happen to Derrick Henry. Chris Rodriguez leads the Commanders' backfield. He will never rank more than an RB3 for me, despite the volume, because it is the Commanders' backfield in any given week. It could be more of a committee, or it could go another way. It could see more Jerry McNichols. Chris Rodriguez is fine if you're desperate for a running back, especially it's a 14 bye this week. So if you need him, fine. Just not going to get super excited. Speaking of not getting super excited, yes, both Tyrone Tracy and Devin Singletary look good for the Giants' backfield, but Mike Kafka took the Brian Dable approach and even leaned into it even more. Devin Singletary's time shared and got most of the work in the goal line area, so that's going to be frustrating for us, both of them being RB3s. Good news in the backfield. The Texans lean heavily once again on Woody Marks. He has taken over, but it was just a bad week for the Texans offense. And for Woody Marks, there'll be better days. He'll be in the back-end RB2 conversation most weeks going forward because finally, things are cleared up. And finally, same team, Jayden Higgins is the number 2 wide receiver. It looked like it might be happening last week. Clearly the number 2 wide receiver this week. Again, still the Texans offense, so he'll rank in the wide receiver 4 territory. But if you were patient and stashed Higgins, I'm surprised if you waited this long, but you can go back to the Jayden Higgins support group and pick him up and have him as a wide receiver 4 or 5. Speaking of wide receivers, Luther Burden's stock, another rookie, his stock is up, clearly taking the slot role and pushing DJ Moore for value, and actually wasn't too far behind Rome Odunze in that game for targets and opportunities and receptions. So Luther Burden time might finally be coming down the back half of the stretch. Ricky Pearsall's first game back was a big fat 0. I do expect better. If somebody drops him, pick him up. You can go buy low if your trade deadline hasn't hit yet. But Ricky Pearsall is just what is going to happen in this offense going forward. George Kittle will have a bad day. Juwan Jennings will have a bad day. Maybe even Christian McCaffrey, who is still sharing a little bit more with Brian Robinson now at this point of the season. Point being, there's 3 weapons. They can lean on any of them any given week. We expect 2 of the 3 to always have a good game, but it could definitely rotate. So don't panic on Ricky Pearsall's first game back being a 0. If you're looking for pickups, I get the Tyrell Shavers excitement for the Bills, but Keon Coleman was having a message sent to him and was inactive. He'll be back likely next week. And the Bills spread the ball around. 14-team plus league, if you want to go get Shavers, I get it. Big playability, but it is the Bills. We chase the Bills way too often. And, well, as you know, I don't like to chase the Bills, and I've said that before. If you want to chase the Wilsons, Michael Wilson, I'm okay with, because Marvin Harrison, who knows how much longer he'll be out with the appendix surgery. But if he's back this week, Michael Wilson goes right back to waivers because we've done this dance with Michael Wilson before, and Greg Dortch will show up too, as we saw in that game. It's mostly Trey McBride and one other person. And for right now, Michael Wilson looks a lot of fun, but we also have 57 pass attempts from Jacoby Brissett and 47 completions. I don't think we expect that any given week for the rest of the season. Roman Wilson has stepped into the number 2 role. Finally happened for the Steelers. I'm excited about that, but I'm not so excited about the number 2 option in an Arthur Smith offense with Aaron Rodgers and a potentially broken hand on the left arm, not the throwing arm, but could be missing time. So not overly excited about Roman Wilson. Jacoby Myers' use was nice to see. He is clearly into the top 2 role, and if Brian Thomas returns as a heads up, Parker Washington, as I mentioned last week, would be hard to trust as anything more than a wide receiver 5 because Jacoby Myers looks to have it only took him 2 weeks. He is set into the top 2 role. Cedric Tillman, if you want, again, this is another one. If you want to chase him, but it is the passing offense for the Browns, which is just almost nothing. Cedric Tillman has more upside than Jerry Jeudy. Cool, but it's still mostly the tight ends. And interesting enough, Harold Fannin saw a majority of the targets even when Shedeur Sanders came in at quarterback. So Harold Fannin's really the only pass-catching option we can trust. And lastly, going back to the Giants, Isaiah Hodgins, they love this dude. Every time they bring him back, they start using him. He was the clear top 2 option alongside Wildno Robinson. And even if Darius Slayton comes back, he would be the number 3. The Giants had 3 wide receivers. That's it. 3 wide receivers. Hodgins, Wandale Robinson, and Jalen Hyatt in that game. So if Slayton comes back, Hodgins is the 3. Deep leagues. But if Slayton's still out, Hodgins could be in play as a wide receiver 5. We'll be back Wednesday for the full show. Hopefully you survived the carnage in Week 11 because not only a lot of injuries, but it seemed like if you had a good team, you probably lost. I'm raising my hand on that one.